The pain that I have, the depression that I have, is that deep emotional pain that I have. The last words I recall him saying to me till today was, he said, "Alena, girl, you need to rewrite your life with Jesus all over again." When he said that, I don't understand. I only know that, what do you mean? Because I was hopeless. The difference is now, how do I face it with Jesus as my Savior holding my hand? I was born and brought up in a town in Bishan, where I stay with my parents. My family is Taoist, but we don't really, I don't really follow the religion, but it's actually just following what our parents say and do. And the Taoist part of the education was never really part of my upbringing. But we just follow through with my parents. Specifically, every 15th of the month or the 1st of the month, which is the lunar calendar, we go to pray to our ancestors, which is my father's ancestors, my parents' ancestors. So this is typically my life as a growing up child, right up to young adult. I was brought up in a very humble family. My dad's name is Chow Chi Man. My mom is Madam Pei Yok Chan. I have a younger sister and a younger brother. As a growing up child, we follow my parents as a Taoist family, and we typically will go to the temple to pray at a few occasions. One is usually the big occasions like the death anniversary of our grandfather, our grandmother. And then there is also things like the lunar calendar celebration for the dead, which is called Qingming, which is typically in the March and April timeframe of the year. And this is the time when I recall, as a very young child, I helped my parents to fold what we call the prayer, or the prayer rituals, things that we need to offer to the ancestors. So that in itself was quite a memory for me, because I didn't know what I was doing. I was just helping my mother. And when it comes to the actual offering, we will go to the temple with a lot of the bags of things that we prepare for the offering. Jaw sticks, and we'll buy food for offering as well to both the goddess, the goddess, and also the ancestors. I grew up in that environment, but in terms of actual teaching of Taoism, that was really not part of my life, because we never go to any Taoism classes or things like that. It's mainly about following my parents to say, okay, now it's time to pray to who and what, and just doing that as a child. And right up to young adults, we were just following that ritual and following that tradition. And my parents are humble parents. My dad worked very hard. He's a driver. My mom helps people to wash the clothes, really just to meet ends meet. So that's our life in the family. My parents and my siblings, I don't really have anyone to really talk to when I have problems in school, in my teenage life. My family and my siblings we were not open, we were not close, we were not sharing with one another in terms of what our problems are, or things like that. So I was very much myself, as a child. So in Singapore, We go through first 6 years of what we call primary school. And my primary school was Westlake Primary School. That is a secular school, so that it's not a religion, it's just a government school. So my first 6 years of my life was just through that. But because of my upbringing, right, I took on the very secular values, meaning to say I become very competitive. I'm always comparing with my peers in school, whoever that is doing better in results. It's always something that is motivating me, not because I want to do better than myself, but I'm afraid to lose. It's just very insecure as a child. So I studied very hard, and in Singapore we have this PSLE system. For the first 6 years of our life, up to 12 years old, we have to pass very good PSLE results in order to go to a good secondary school. So I did exactly that, and I managed to get myself into Convent of the Holy Infant Jesus in Toa Payoh, which is apparently at that time, and even till now, is one of the more renowned school. But I really didn't know about Catholic back then. As a teenager, I studied my O-levels in Convent of the Holy Infant Jesus for my O-levels. It's a Catholic school, so during events, for the school big events, there will always be the Catholic Mass. That's the only thing I vaguely remember. And there is always catechism class in school, but as a non-Catholic, I choose to go to the non-Catholics classes. So I was never really involved in the Catholic way of teaching in the school back then. But I had good friends. I had good girlfriends. So as teenagers, we do the usual teenage stuff, right? It's always looking for opportunities. When there's school camps, when there's weekend activities, I will definitely want to join just to get into companionship, right? But after all the events, I was really not happy being alone. I didn't do well enough to get into a proper university. I went into, we call the Polytechnic study, a diploma in Ngee Polytechnic, where I studied 2.5 years to get myself a diploma in computer studies. At that time, I met my first serious boyfriend. We come from both Taoism background. We got married. When I finished Polytechnic, I came to the world to work. Going to disco dances and tea dances, we were never having this religious thought. We never go into Taoism classes, Buddhism classes, never really like that. It's very much a free thinker way of life. And as I go into a very competitive working world, right? Because in professional work, I went into doing sales. My first sales job is actually selling just computers. And in a job like that, nobody is your friend, right? So I became all the more competitive and very afraid to lose out to my peers at work. Comparing sales results, comparing every month end or quarter end, what's our sales results. So that was the kind of lifestyle that I had into my young adulthood, right? And then life, where the whole relationship just crumbled. And there was just no hope to continue to live. I didn't know what to do. I didn't know who to turn to. So gradually, I went into depression, a very deep depression. My ex-husband then didn't know about it.
I was just pretending to be who I am. But honestly, I was just passing by life. And every time I want to wake up, I say to myself, I don't want to wake up. And then one day, aimlessly, when I was just searching the internet, this weekend retreat pop up in my face in front of the monitor. And it says, it's a weekend retreat, stay-in retreat, Friday to Sunday. It was a weekend retreat for Catholics. The next day, the administrator called me up and sort of interviewed me because one of the demographics that I put was I was a non-Catholic and I just wanted to go for the retreat. So they did a short interview and they said to me very clearly that that retreat was meant to be for Catholics. And they told me some of the programs and they asked me, am I okay to attend if I want to attend still after hearing what was being said. I didn't think of that as a ray of light for hope for me, but it's really, okay, since I'm going to die, I'm planning to die, don't know how, just go for something that a weekend retreat. I went through the program and in fact, I think I was the only non-Catholic among the Catholics. So I went for the weekend retreat. I participated in most of the programs. And as a non-Catholic, I obviously don't know anything about confession, but I still went for the queue to actually pour out all my stories and all my sorrows. And that's the first encounter where I actually come close approximately to a Catholic priest. The priest I chose at that point in time was Father Joe Lopez, who is a Spanish. I went for the confession, and as a non-Catholic, I cannot receive absolution, right? So he gave me blessings, and from then, Father Joe became a friend to me. As a lone person, he became a counselor and a friend to me. He never imposed the Catholic faith to me. For example, he'll never say like, oh, do you want to go to this mass, that mass? But he correlate, knowing that I was a Taoist back then. The family goddess that we prayed to back then was the goddess of mercy. And whenever we met at Risen Christ at the grotto of Mother Mary, he will always point to Mother Mary's grotto and say, you look at her as if she's your goddess of mercy. I was at the peak of my career actually, doing a professional work in sales, doing well in that sense, but deep in me, I was a very broken soul. To counter that emptiness in me, I made myself very busy with a work that is in sales. I took on a part-time degree course, right? So with part-time degree course and professional work, I really don't have time to think about anything else. And that was how I thought I overcome my deep depression. Work and part-time degree. So when I finished my part-time degree, there's this sudden void in time. Weekends, no more lecture. Weekends, no more assignments. And I was just lost again. And so I asked Father Joe to recommend me a mission trip. I said to him, Father, I have not experienced any Catholic mission trip before. I want to go on a holiday, but I just don't want to go on another secular holiday. Can you recommend me? Until when he finally gave me this Pattaya mission trip experience to Thailand with a Redemptorist priest called Father Simon Pereira. The date was 1st to the 9th of December 2011. That gap fitted my schedule perfectly. Right, so I went to that trip with a non-Catholic lady friend back then. So throughout the trip, there was activities that we, as participants, we will visit the orphanages. We will reach out to the teenage abandoned children, Father Ray Foundation. But being a non-Catholic back then, I was just going there as a normal participant, just for a holiday break. I never really paid attention to the essence of each activity, which there was always a purpose to that program. Until 7 December 2011 was like a little breakthrough. I still recall when I was sitting like this at the reception with my non-Catholic girlfriend. We were waiting to go shopping actually, but then the taxi never come. And at the far end, Father Simon Pereira was sitting there reading his newspaper. What was interesting for me was when I first saw Father Simon back during this trip, the memory of him was just vaguely that, oh, he was a Catholic priest back in my secondary school days, Convent of the Holy Infant Jesus, and that was the only memory I had with Father. I went up to him and I said, Father, can I have a word with you? And we went to a counseling room. That encounter was very emotional again. I poured out everything about my life, my issues, my depression. I don't exactly remember how long it takes, but I just remember I cried a lot during the sharing with him, just like on confession, right? And he was listening to me very patiently. The last words I recall him saying to me till today was, he said, Alena, girl, you need to rewrite your life with Jesus all over again. When he said that, I don't understand. I only know that. What do you mean? Because I was hopeless. To end the counseling session, right? But that phrase kept with me till today. Every day we have evening mass during the mission trip, but I really never really pay attention. But on that 7 December evening, after the session with Father, I stared at the cross of Jesus in the chapel. And during the Eucharistic celebration, my conversation with Jesus back then was, I said, Jesus, I don't know who you are, but Father said, I have to rewrite my life with you all over again. I said, I first of all, I don't know who you are. Second, I don't see you. I only see you and the cross. And I can't hug you. I can't feel you. I don't smell you. But Father said to rewrite my life all over again with you. I mean, if you are real, you have to show me how, because I don't know how. And that's what Father said to me as the advice. So that was my first very sincere and very, very hopeless prayer to Jesus. Just taking the advice from what I just heard from a Catholic priest as a non-Catholic. I was just literally staring at the cross, literally staring at the crucifix in the chapel. I looked into the eyes of Jesus and I said, if you are real, like what the priest said, you just have to show me how, because I have no idea how to rewrite my life with someone that I don't even know. The next day, 8th of December 2011, the program was to visit the orphanage as part of the activity for the second time. There, when we walked into this orphanage for this section for little children, toddlers that is aged between 2 to 5 years old, there was this little girl, I think she's about 2.5, 3 years old. She just came running right into my arms. It's the first time we are meeting one another. We were meeting one another. And as children, I know that if this is the first time somebody was meeting an adult for the first time, the child won't run to you. But she did. And I happily carried her up. And that was a very strange God experience, because I felt her embrace and her hug so tightly. For the first time after so many years, I felt love. I felt someone said, "It's okay, you'll be fine." I truly believe that it was Jesus sending the child, and He was present in the child to let me experience that physical warmth and that physical hug through that little girl. That's Jesus in this little girl who has heard my prayer the previous night to show me how should I walk my life with Jesus. When I went back to Singapore, it's not a bed of roses, but something changed with the encounter of Jesus from that little girl. I started to go to a Catholic church, which is the Novena Church in Singapore. I started going to the Novena Church every Saturday for the Novena devotion. I also started, to me, that has never happened before, was to look for daily evening mass to attend as much as I could. So when I made the decision to sign up the 1-year RCIA program to start to prepare for my baptism, throughout that 1 year, Jesus walked into my life through different people. He sends different priests, Father Simon and then the late Father Bill Hing, which is a Redemptorist priest as well, to journey with me as both counselor and friends. Jesus sent Catholic friends. Rosama is one of my first Indian Catholic that I get to know. And she taught me and she showed me truly how to pray with conviction, with devotion. And she became a very close prayer companion. She was the one to introduce me the trip to Rome when she offered to ask me to say that, she's going to Rome in 2016, would I want to come along? I grabbed that opportunity and we both were traveling to Rome. For me, it's the first time, and the very significant is that I had a prayer companion with me throughout the journey. So the RCIA program will be a year, right? And my baptism was due in 2013, Easter Sunday. I received Him, and what was amazing was the moment I received Jesus into my body, I could felt that He really filled my hunger. That famished feeling just disappeared. Now I can say that I am a Catholic and a child of God. The pain that I had, the depression that I have, was just humongous. It's that deep emotional pain that I had. The difference is now, how do I face it with Jesus as my Savior holding my hand?
Are you searching for answers? Discover your true identity. Stay tuned to Shalom World.